Veronica Carletti can remember most of her life in extraordinary detail.
Any conversations, birthday dates, everything I can remember. It comes naturally, it's automatic, without awareness.
Veronica's memory is exceptionally rare. She's got a condition called highly superior autobiographical memory, HSAM for short. And scientists have been studying her, and others like her, to understand what gives them this extraordinary ability. At some point, most of us have wished for a better memory. Maybe in preparation for a test, or trying to remember something specific from your past. And we can take steps to make our memories better. There are even so-called memory athletes.
10 of clubs, Queen of hearts.
Who spend years honing these skills. But greater memory might not be everything we imagine it is, because as much as we value our memories, one of our brain's most important functions might be not remembering.
Sensory overload is a battle for me. I have to fight against every day.
I'm meeting people whose minds stretch the limits of human potential, and the researchers who are studying them to understand how we can all be healthier and more productive. This week, memory. I'm Michael Tabb. This is Exceptional Humans.
The last time I went here with my father alive, it was autumn, but it was sunny, on November 25, 2006. He said to me, Veronica, when I will die, you could return here and think about me.
Veronica Carletti is a doctor in San Leo, a small Italian town about 130 kilometers east of Florence. For years, she knew her memory was unusual. But it wasn't until 2015, when she read a newspaper article about superior memory research, that she discovered her ability had a name.
For the first time in my life, I felt understood. And so I phoned to my husband, I'm not crazy.
HSAM was being studied just a few hours away, at one of Rome's top research institutes. She reached out to the researchers, and 8 months later, they were scanning her brain.
There are several kinds of memories.
That's Dr. Patrizia Campolongo. She and her partners, Valerio Santangelo and Simone McCree, are leading the research on HSAM.
These people are superior in the autobiographical memories. But if you look at the semantic memories, semantics is, for example, something that you learn at school, they are completely normal with the rest of the population.
They think studying the brains of people with HSAM could reveal the specific brain circuits they might stimulate to treat disorders like Alzheimer's.
We can transfer the knowledge to people that keep forgetting, they don't remember. On the other side, we can help people also when there is memories excessive, like PTSD, depression.
The research on HSAM started 20 years ago at the University of California, Irvine, when Dr. Jim McGaw received an email from a woman claiming to remember every day of her adult life.
I asked her to tell me what she did on the last 20 Easters, I think it was. And she told me what she did on each of those Easters, and she's Jewish.
McGaw eventually met her and began studying people like her. Within a few years, McGaw found several others scattered across the US. In 2010, many of them appeared in the same room together for the first time, for an episode of 60 Minutes.
A 7.1 earthquake hit the San Francisco-Oakland area on
October 17th, 1989.
Tuesday.
I remember we were watching the game of the World Series. It was like, oh my gosh.
McGaw is now retired, but his research is being carried on by Dr. Campolongo. So far, she and her colleagues have identified a few dozen people with HSAM.
My daughter, she is 6 years old, and as soon as I see her experiencing something, I remember exactly when I had this kind of experience and when I was a kid, and everything comes out in a very detailed way.
I don't want to forget anything, negative things too, because they belong to my life.
Do you worry about not being able to remember at some point in your life?
Yes.
Am I a Superman or a human freak?
Till now, I don't have an answer.
Aside from their exceptional memories, people with HSAM don't seem to have a lot in common. Researchers have found that HSAM doesn't make you smarter or more successful. And although it's not a disorder, it often seems intertwined with other disorders. People who have it often score highly on tests for obsessive compulsiveness. But there's still a lot to learn about how it works. We have a basic understanding of how normal brains form autobiographical memories. All of our perceptions, everything we see, hear, smell, feel, and taste, gets consolidated in the hippocampus. After encoding memories, the hippocampus sends them back for storage throughout the brain. And it sends the prefrontal cortex a record of how all the different memories are interrelated. In people with HSAM, it's a little bit different.
First, you access your memory. Second, you relive your memory. During the reliving part, more or less, their brain behaves as our normal brains. Yet what varies a lot is the access phase. Their brains just works in a completely different way.
People with HSAM have stronger connections between their hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. But there are some people who have remarkable connectivity between these regions and don't have HSAM, like memory athletes. Memory athletes train for years to memorize decks of cards and strings of numbers faster and more accurately than their competitors. And the training actually changes how their minds work.
My research is focused on what's happening in your brain if you train your memory.
Boris Conrad is a memory athlete and neuroscientist. He memorized this deck of playing cards in 81 seconds.
It begins with 6 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, 2 of clubs, 2 of hearts.
He did make one mistake, but got it right the second time.
Just 6 weeks of training these methods is enough to shift your brain connectivity towards that of a memory champion, along with your memory improvement. The basic principle is to come up with images, to transform something that's really hard to remember, like numbers, playing cards, or a foreign language, into something your brain already has a system to deal with.
They're training semantic memory, which is completely different from autobiographical memory. A popular technique is called the mind palace. Here it is being not so accurately portrayed in the show Sherlock. Everyone has their own technique, but here's an example. Say you're trying to memorize these 6 playing cards in order. Use a standard mnemonic to turn each playing card into a distinct object. And then combine those objects into a scene. So you might imagine a deer wearing a fancy clip chases a clam before tripping over a spool of thread, getting dirt all over your new clogs. It's ridiculous, and that's kind of the point. It makes it memorable. When memory athletes use the mind palace technique, they create rich, emotional worlds in their minds, but then they do something really important. They forget about them. Forgetting allows them to move on, essentially freeing up space for them to memorize something else. This is not so simple for people with HSAM.
The worst period of my life was when I attended university. Okay, I couldn't learn as I wanted to do because I felt full of information.
Looking at it this way, HSAM can be as debilitating as it is a superpower. Are people like Veronica Carletti really good at remembering things, or are they really bad at forgetting?
The field is starting to think that there's something active in our brain in order to forget.
Forgetting is essential. We don't want our minds like a garbage heap. We want to have our minds organized so that we pull out the information that is relevant. But what we want in memory is highly efficient, selective memory.
Forgetting too much is obviously bad. But if we learn to view forgetting as an active process, not merely a failure of memory, maybe we can view diseases like Alzheimer's from an entirely new perspective. That could lead to new approaches for treatment. And maybe we can also figure out how to get more control over what all of us forget. Researchers haven't determined whether HSAM is genetic, but many people with HSAM think it is. And Carletti thinks one of her daughters has it.
I want to protect her because I know that we are just a little bit condemned to feel the world deeply.
Thanks for watching this Quartz member exclusive. This video is part of our series, Exceptional Humans. Keep watching for more stories on people whose minds stretch the limits of human potential, in everything from sleep to memory to meditation.